When we are learning coffee, we learn coffee in 3 stages, right? There is what we call the theory part, where we get to know coffee, etc., where it comes from, blah, blah, blah. Then there is the brewing part, where we see how we brew coffee, we brew the V60, the Chemex, the AeroPress, etc. And there is the extraction part, where we see how we extract espresso and make different kinds of coffees. But in your book, in your notes, we start from the history of coffee. We all know. I'm going to be very fast, very brief, because you have these things in your books. Where does the coffee originate from? Truth? Ethiopia. Coffee comes from Ethiopia. There is a story of Khalid, the guy who used to rear goats. One day out in the wilderness, when he's rearing the goats came to eat some seeds, and he was curious. He took the seeds back home, he gave them to the nuns, to the monks, and the monks tried to squeeze the seeds, get some little bit of drink out of it. When they drank this drink, they came to find out that it has so many importance and uses. What they did, they started to plant coffee in the neighborhood and in the neighboring villages. Then we came into the era of civilization, where people used to come from one part of the world to another. So when the Arabs came to Africa, they came to see these people having this plant and its uses. They were taken, and then they did a trade where they took these seeds and they gave them some other things in exchange. When the seeds came to the Arabian Gulf or to the Arabian Peninsula, they changed the name to what we call Arabica coffee. You understand? I'll repeat one more time for my people in Uganda. Emwani basoka zisimba mu Ethiopia. Naye abawalabu bwe bajja mu Africa ne bazisanga, bazikwata ne bazitwala wa mu nsi yaabwe mu ngeri ya trade. Bwe zaatuuka wali ne zikyusa erinnya okuva ku ezaali ziyitibwa ne zitandika okuyitibwa Arabica coffee. Are we on the same page? So this is the birth of Arabica coffee. We all know Arabica coffee originates from Ethiopia. But over time, we have so many other coffee origins, like Robusta, there's like Arabica, there's Excelsior. All these other origins of coffee, since they've been there for a long time, they've been cloning and making other varieties of coffee. But we have the main coffee varieties, what is Robusta and Arabica. What you need to understand is Robusta and Arabica, they are the two main coffee varieties to be consumed all over the world. Robusta and Arabica. What is the difference between Robusta and Arabica? Arabica is a high quality coffee bean compared to Robusta. Arabica coffee is sweet and smooth. Robusta is bitter and ashy. If somebody ever asks you, what is the difference between Arabica and Robusta? Answer number 1. Arabica coffee is sweet and smooth. Robusta is bitter and harsh. Okay. Guys, when you're joining the live, please tap your screen, yeah, and share the live. Thank you. As I was standing, my head wasn't showing because my camera angle is wrong. Okay. As I said, the first key difference between Arabica and Robusta is Arabica coffee is sweet and smooth, Robusta is bitter and harsh. Key difference number 2, Arabica coffee is grown on a high altitude. Robusta is grown on a low altitude. What does altitude mean? Altitude means the height above sea level. This is the ground. As the ground progresses high, this is what we call altitude. Are we together? We all know the higher you go, the cooler it becomes. It means the same temperatures on the ground are not the same temperatures. You understand? So Arabica coffee grows on an altitude of 800 meters going 800 meters going high. You understand? For all Arabica coffee beans you will find, there are no Arabica coffee beans which are grown below 800 meters. Buli mwani z'olabako nga za Arabica balina okuba nga bazirima ku mita 8 kuddawa waggulu. That's why in some books Arabica coffee is referred to as mountain coffee, because it's grown on hills and mountains. You understand? If you go to Uganda, this coffee is grown in Rwenzori, Enigon, Kasese, those high ground areas. That's why in Africa, the #1 coffee growing country is called Ethiopia, because Ethiopia is a mountainous region. Are we together, guys? Yes. The #1 coffee growing country in Africa is called Ethiopia. The #1 coffee growing country in the world is called Brazil. It's called Brazil. Brazil #1 in the world. Ethiopia is #1 in Africa. Are we together? Yes. So, as I said, Robusta is grown on low altitudes. This is the coffee that you see in your villages. The coffee they lay on the ground, you go back to just harvest. But Arabica coffee is being taken care of, because as we say, it's sweet and smooth. It means it attracts a lot of pests and diseases. So you always need to spray pesticides. You always have to take care of this coffee from the time of planting to the time of harvesting. You understand? There are so many other differences between Arabica and Robusta. One is oval shape, the other is circular shape. This one, Arabica, has high acidity. This one has low acidity. This one high bitterness. This one low bitterness. All these are minor differences. But the key difference comes from the taste, sweet and smooth, and the altitude of which this coffee is grown. Because away from that, they don't define the beans. Are we on the same page? Yes. Yeah? Yeah? When I'm teaching, you have to do a gesture. I repeat, you nod your head, you agree or disagree. Because when you just look at me, there's no way I'm going to understand that you understand what I'm saying. Thank you. Okay, so, as I said, the main two coffee varieties of coffee is Arabica and Robusta. What does the word variety mean? Owulira byenjogera bye bikola barista. Whatever I'm saying is what makes you a barista. The more information you have, the more you are a barista. A good barista is a barista with good knowledge and skill. What is coffee variety?
Variety. I don't know if I'm right, but I think the variety is different plantation. Yeah, like places.
What does the word variety mean in layman's language? Something in a difference. Diversity. You understand? Diversity. So, the word variety in coffee means the diversity of coffee. Coffee in different species. You understand? Diversity of different coffee subspecies. Are we together? Over time, coffee has been diversified. Like when you get one plant and another plant, when we join them together, we get another plant. You understand? So in simple terms, simple language, coffee variety means they join different coffee subspecies to get one coffee plant. I repeat myself. Nyabo. What does variety mean? Okay. I repeat myself. Coffee variety means they join different coffee subspecies to get one coffee plant. Njagala nchikunnyonnyole bw'okitegeere muki muntegeerayo. I want you to njagala nkusomesa so that you understand, not to cram what I say. When you have one coffee plant and another coffee plant, this is plant A, this is plant B. If I cut the top of this, I put it aside. I cut this one, I get this top, I join it on this bottom. When it grows, it has both the characteristics of this one and the characteristics of this one. You understand? Sorry?
How do I call the product
What
that came out of those two?
It's another variety. It's like when I grow mangoes. Listen. When I'm growing mangoes, I can get mangoes from Mumbai and mangoes from Kenya. You understand? They tell me the mangoes from Mumbai, they are a little bit honey, winey, etc. The mangoes from Kenya, they are a little bit nutty, juicy, etc. You understand? Now I come up with a plan to make a plant which has both winey, juicy, all the characteristics in one. What you do, you cut this tree and the other tree, you join them together, you grow one tree. You name it anything you want because it's you making. You understand? This is how they make different coffee varieties. You understand? As I said, we started with 4. Arabica, Robusta, Excelsa, and Arabica. But as we speak right now, we have like 1 million coffee species. You understand? They are made from other species. Do you understand what I'm saying? But they don't just cut one tree to another. These things are performed in a laboratory. There is a laboratory in Kenya, it's called Scott Laboratories. I don't know if you know it. It makes coffee plants. There is one product of theirs which is very common. It's called SL29. It means Scott Laboratory species 29. They get different coffee. Nyabo. Olaba byemuliko byemwe chokola. Chokola abyosomesa tembitege. Ate obuzo buliwo ndi mu kusomesa mu luki? Mu Luzungu. Oluzungu gobanga omuntu si lulimi lwo. You need to pay attention to understand. Gojo wegendezo omuntu ng'alaba film nga sinjogerere. Amaaso gambeera ku TV we batyo kitegeera. Okitegera kyegamba. Naye enjogerere ne bw'abeera eri mu kiyungu ategeera bye bakola ki? Kuzibali waliwo akola ki? Akuvuunulira naye kozesa olulimi lw'otamanyi, but still you're not paying attention. How are you going to understand? Sengana inchimanti mu class, just have to pay attention. Nandi baderoya, nina dambakazi, bibanemesa okusoma. Guys, please pay attention. We proceed. I said coffee variety means they join different coffee subspecies. Now I want you to write something in your book. Write it down. Coffee variety means we join different coffee subspecies. Then I want you to write coffee blend. Where is your book? Where is your book, bro? Tusoma ku noti, tusoma kuandika. I think you have them in your book, right? So see. See, guys, Lavayo, don't write. You have them in your book already. Movidina. Tokone simu eyi. Jamu tuna ono bweyagala tula wansi. Tokone simu. That bad mazawe sawa. Ako wangazi. Osomera. Kirasi olwalewo olemo gifunamu tolifunamu. Koze buli kyosoma ngenda kuddamu okikunyonyola leero. Okay. Otudde bulungi? Wantudde wooti. Nedda kyetegeeza amagulu gafunye gagenda kujja. Olaba era abasiru wadde bobongo bugusi. Njogedde kintu kirala nnyo. Gwete mbadde mugamba. Kyembadde tegeeza amagulu agantuuze. Tosobola kukutuula wooti. Kati atoli oke? Yeah. Uganda. Okay, so we proceed. The reason as to why I bring you coffee blend and coffee varieties, because when you're working in a cafe, you will face these questions. You will face these questions. A blend means we join different coffee origins. Variety means we join different coffee plants. They are almost the same but not the same. Variety means we join different plants. We get plant A and plant B. Coffee blend means we blend coffee beans. You understand? We can blend them when they are still green, or we can blend them when they are already roasted. Thank you. These are coffee beans. I don't know. They are called Hakuna Matata from Uganda. You understand? These are coffee beans from another region. You understand? If I join them together and I mix, this is what we call a blend. You understand? But coffee variety, a variety can be made from joining different coffee plants. I can have a tree from Ghana and another tree from Cameroon. I join them together. I get one tree. I name it something else. That's what called varieties. There are so many varieties of coffee. Catulao, Santa Lucia, blah 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 blah. They are so bourbon, yellow bourbon, pink bourbon. They are all coffee varieties. Are we together? Okay. So we put this aside. Everyone understood what Arabica and Robusta means? Yeah? Okay. Now we go to what we call the chain of supply. The chain of supply. So, to look at the chain of supply, we must know what specialty coffee means. We are 147 people watching, 153. Guys, tap your screen, share the live. This live will be pre-recorded. It will be posted for everyone to have a look at it again later in your free time. Listen, if you know you're a barista and you're still looking for a job, what is specialty coffee? Yeah? What is specialty coffee? This is a very, very common question interviewers ask baristas. What is specialty coffee? There are so many baristas, but not every barista is a specialty coffee. That's why when even people are coming for our classes, they ask, do you teach specialty coffee? Oh yes, specialty coffee and commercial coffee, they are all coffees, they are not the same. Specialty coffee means this is the term used for the highest grade of coffee beans available. The highest grade of coffee beans available. Typically relating to the entire chain of supply. In specialty coffee, there are two keywords. One, grade of coffee beans. The highest grade of coffee beans. It means for coffee to be called specialty coffee, it must be of the highest grade. I'm going to tell you how this coffee is graded. Two, specialty coffee, there's what you call the chain of supply. The chain of supply, it represents the journey of coffee from the garden to the final cup. You understand? You understand? The journey of coffee from the garden to the final cup. We are going to go through each and every step. If somebody asks, what is specialty coffee? Specialty coffee is a term used for the highest grade of coffee beans available or used. You understand? But this is for you to understand the deeper meaning of what specialty coffee means. It means it represents the journey of coffee from the plantation to the final cup. You understand? Now, who's a specialty coffee barista? A specialty coffee barista is a professional who can serve and prepare coffee-based beverages. You understand? A specialty coffee barista is a coffee professional who can serve and prepare coffee-based beverages. Oyo gwe bayitaani barista. Coffee nkunyonyodde. Specialty coffee has to be coffee of the highest grade. Are we together? Now I want you to get somewhere in your book and write how this coffee is graded. So, after harvesting coffee, yeah, a group of professionals test this coffee. They can be 5 or 4 or 7 in number, but each and every one has their independent judgment of this coffee. You understand? On a solo kunywako nagamba, you know what? I give this coffee 10%. This one says I give it 30%. The other says I give it 60%. Then after we get the average score. You understand? So how do they, like, what are they looking for? They are looking for the level of acidity, level of bitterness, the level of sweetness, the level of moisture content, blah, 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 blah. So many things they are looking for. After getting these variables, then you give it a score. Like for me, I give it 40%. Her, 50%. Her, 60%. Then after we get what we call an overall or average score. You understand? For coffee to be fit to be called specialty coffee, it must score 80 points and above. I want you to write down specialty coffee grading. Specialty coffee grading. Specialty coffee grading. Specialty coffee grading. For coffee to be called specialty coffee, it must start from 80 points and above. 80 points and above. 80 points and above. 80. Now I want you to go down your line and write 80 to 85, it's called good coffee. 80 to 85, it's called good coffee. 85 to 90, it's called very good coffee. 90, it's called very good coffee. Then 90 to 100 is called excellent coffee. It's called excellent coffee. Ah, Jesus. Guys, tap your screen, share the live. We proceed. Yeah. I said 80 to 85 is called good coffee. 85 to 90 is called very good. Then 90 to 100 is called excellent. It's called excellent coffee. So, specialty coffee, that is what specialty coffee is about. What is commercial coffee? Commercial coffee is coffee grown for commercial purposes or for profit purposes. Like they grow coffee just to make profits. It means they don't vary like the grading so much. Like sometimes they grade from 75 going down. All that coffee can be used in commercial coffee. You understand? But I want our focus to be on specialty coffee because we are specialty coffee baristas. We deal with high grade coffee beans. You understand? Okay. We are going to break it down. So, as we are looking at the chain of supply where coffee is coming from to where it's going, we look at stage number one, the plant. When the farmer is going to plant, he must know that he's going to plant high quality coffee beans or seeds or coffee variety. Are we together? When you're going to grow, you must grow high quality coffee. It means you grow. What coffee are you going to grow? Thank you. It means you're going to grow Arabica. Now we are talking about the chain of supply in specialty coffee. It means from the time of planting, they planted high quality coffee. They planted
high quality coffee.
They planted what kind of coffee?
Arabica.
Thank you. You understand? Now we look at the role of the farmer. What is the number one role of the farmer? Number one, the farmer must plant this coffee on the right altitude. We said on starting from 800 meters going. You understand? For every coffee bag that you will see the altitude of coffee where it was planted. This one, since it's from Uganda, but for good coffee, there must be the altitude of which the coffee was planted, but it's from Mountain Elgon. Okay. So, as I said, they must show you the altitude of which this coffee was planted. Okay, we planted the coffee from 1,000 meters going up, 1,200 meters going up. You understand? Number two, the farmer must take care of the coffee from the time of planting to the time of harvesting. You understand? He must spray pesticides so that the pests don't eat these plants. He must fertilize the soil so that the land is very fertile for the plants to grow well. You understand? Number two, the farmer must plant and harvest in the right season. That's the role of the farmer. Now, number three, we look at the harvesting. For coffee beans to be called specialty coffee beans, when they are harvesting, number one, the coffee must be ready or it must be ripe. The seeds must be ready or ripe. You understand? We call them the cherries. The cherries must be ready or ripe. Number two, when they are harvesting the coffee must be hand-picked. Hand-picking is going to the plantation with your basket on your back and getting all those cherries which are ready. You rip out those cherries which are ready. Are we together? That's what we call hand-picking. You don't just try or strip the tree. Like you don't just get the tree and strip it down, getting all the, no. You only get only these ready cherries. When you're feeling sleepy, go wash your face. I see everyone. Umanye debate so batu kama ngaticha bana amaso mugomo. Ochimanyi? Enadda bwebatu gamba. Lwansonga buli wabanga okola ensobi tikyabakola ki? Abakulaba. Cause obeera bwoti amaaso gaba galina okulaba buli omu. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. So, That's the harvesting part. So after harvesting, this coffee has to go through what we call processing. Okay? What does the word processing mean? Processing means what, Truth? Yeah? Achogera mwaye chikumi. What does processing mean?
Processing. Processing.
Chinyonyora omuntu mu Luzungu akitegeera.
Emitendera.
Is it the situation?
Processing.
Processing is generalized. So
Give me a time.
It's the time taken.
Procedure taken
To
to do something.
to do what?
to dry.
Moroko yagamba kwata process by process.
A process.
Okuzijjako ebikuta okuzinaaza ez'endimu okuzijjako ebikuta okuzinaaza n'okuzidryinga in the right place. Ekikumi kyange
Anyway, processing means to get a byproduct from a raw material, like sugar processing. You get sugar from sugar canes. It means sugar cane is the raw material. Sugar is the byproduct. So coffee processing means we get this coffee from the garden and then we process them until we have green beans. Are we together? There are 3 major ways of processing coffee. I asked this question yesterday.
Dry, wet.
There is dry process, or what we call no.
Semi-wash.
That is natural.
Thank you. It's called natural process or dry. You understand? So natural process or dry process. This is the process you see in your villages. You just get coffee, you lay it on the ground for it to dry. After drying, you take them to the machine to remove the skins and then remain with only the beans. That's what we call natural process. But before we go into the washed process, I want you to first understand the what we call the anatomy of the coffee seed. Emwanyi yenyini yo yakula etya. Roll me up, please. So, a coffee seed is round, right? But inside there are so many skins inside before you reach the actual seed. You understand? So this top seed, this top skin you see on top is what we call the coffee cherry. Is what we call the coffee cherry. That is skin number 1, the one you see on top, the one you peel off. Okay? So inside the coffee cherry, inside there is skin number 2. This is what we call the pulp. The pulp is a little bit hard, yeah? Kabaka karuba karuba moko ka pulp. Okay? So after this skin, we go to skin number 3. Now this skin number 3 is what we call the mucilage. The mucilage. Mucilage is a little bit salivary, it's a little bit slippery. Like it's the sweetest skin inside. When you lick it, it's so sweet. This is where the juice and the sweetness is in the seed. Kabange menyira like orosmundeko and mwani. Have you ever ripped a seed, a coffee seed? That salivary thing you see inside is what we call the mucilage. Now, when you remove it, the next skin you see inside is what we call the parchments. They are called the parchments. They are also a little bit hard because they protect the seed inside. You understand? So, when you remove the parchments, now you're left with the seed. But on top of the seed, there is a silver lining, a little bit silvery. That's what we call the silver skin. It's called the silver skin. The silver skin. Now from the silver skin, now that's where the seed is. Now we call this the bean. We call it the bean. We call it the bean. So when you dissect the bean in 2 halves like this, there is a line which cross, like the seed is always like this, but there is a line crossing. I think everyone can see the line, right?
Yeah.
So that line you see is what we call the center cut. The center cut. You understand? So this is how the coffee seed is inside. I told you about the natural or dry process. We just get the beans, put them out in the sunlight, then after I take them to the machine to remove the skins and remain with only the seeds. You understand? But in the wet process, it's a little bit different. What happens when the sun hits these coffee beans or the coffee cherries? What happens? The seed is inside, correct? When the rays come, they hit, it demoisturizes all the content which is inside here. So what it does, the fluid start to escape going inside the seed because they are trying to run away from the sun. So it means the seed absorbs all the content. You understand? The sweetness, the flavors, everything inside. That's why when you dry them, they are fresh, but when you, after the sun, it's a little bit dry because everything is inside the seed. It's absorbed inside the seed. That's what happens when the sun hits the bean. Now, we go on to the washed process. On the washed process, number one, they harvest the coffee. After harvesting the coffee, they select the coffee. What we call selecting in coffee. Like they get coffee, they pour it in tanks of water. Now the ready cherries will sink down and the unready cherries will be floating on top. Then it means we remove the unready cherries. Then we remain with only the selected cherries. Then in the wet process, we take these coffee cherries into what we call a depulping machine. It's called a depulping machine. It's a small machine. You pour the coffee inside and then it comes out when the skin is off. So it removes the pulps. That's why it's called depulping, because it removes the first skin and the second skin. The second skin is what we call the pulp. The fact that the pulps go off, that's why it's called depulping. And the machine is called a depulping machine. You understand? So, it means the beans come out when the top skin is off, but it's remaining with this slivery juice, the juicy slivery mucus-like fluid on top of the skin and the bean itself. They fall into another bucket. You understand? So what they do, they keep that coffee inside a tank full of water. You understand? They keep this coffee in a tank full of water. That process is what we call fermentation. You understand? That's what we call fermentation. Fermentation means it's not only in coffee. Fermentation, to ferment something means to keep something in water for a certain period of time. You can ferment beans like these regular beans we eat. Or kunyike vijanjari. You keep the beans in water so that when you come to cook them, you understand, they are soft already. So that's what we call ferment. Some people keep cassava in Kenya, you keep cassava in water. Then after you make something like maize, yeah. So that's what we call fermentation, to keep something in water for a certain period of time. So coffee fermentation is where we keep coffee in water for a certain period of time. Normally they keep this coffee for 2 to 3 days or 48 to 72 hours. Are we together? So
this wash process, like you told us, is wet. Does the coffee bean absorb the flavors and what? Like,
and that's what I'm explaining. That's what I'm explaining, sweetheart. I said the coffee are depulped. It means they remove the pulps. Then after, they are transferred in another bucket where it is dipped into water and it's covered for it to go through what we call fermentation. Now what happens during fermentation? What happens during fermentation? By the time after 2-3 days when you come to remove this coffee, or just this sanga, you find the beans a little bit ripped like this, opened, because it's absorbing. You understand? And it's been in water. So it opens up and try to sink in each and every thing. Remember, this mucilage is where the nutrients, the juice, the sweetness is. It will be absorbed all over the water. So when the beans open up, it means they are drinking, or they are sinking in, or they are absorbing all the nutrients which is inside the water. You understand what I'm saying? Because the bean will open up to absorb. And remember, the mucilage is dipped in water. It means all the beans will remove their sweetness and be absorbed, mixed into the water. So the bean will be absorbing these nutrients and flavors inside the seed itself. This is what happens during fermentation. Then after fermentation, the reason as to why the process is called washed process, after the 2 to 3 days, they remove the seeds, they pour into another fresh bucket with fresh water to wash it off and remove all the skins. You understand? So that we remain with only the beans. I had green beans here. I don't know where I put them. What's the yao? Are there fresh beans there? There is? Here. Oh. So, you see these beans? It means when you put in a tank of water, the skins were removed and remain with only this. You understand? So, when they are exporting or when they are selling, this is what they sell. They sell this and then you roast it. We are coming to that. So that's what we call the washed process. Then after washing them, they put them out in sun to dry. Are we together? Now we go to the next process. That's what we call the honey or semi-washed process. Honey or semi-washed process. Now, in this honey or semi-washed process, it's almost the same as the washed process. The beans are depulped and then fermented. Yeah? But after fermentation, the beans are not washed to remove the skins. No. They are just collected from the bowl, from the tank or wherever they put them, and then transferred into the sun. They are dried with even the skins still on. You understand? Do you know why it's called honey? Because this slippery fluid on top, when the sun heats it, it will become a little bit like honey. It will become reddish. You understand? And it will be sticking on the seed. You understand? That's why it's called the honey process. When you touch it like this, it will be sweet like honey. You get? Because they just dry it in the sun with it on top. So then after, they have to take them to the machine to remove the rest and stay with only the seed. But during the process of drying, it's dried when it's still on. Are we together? That's why it's called the honey or semi-washed process. These are the 3 most popular coffee processing methods. You want to wash your face, bro? You okay? Okay. Unasoma ndi only? Kirasi esinga okubeera enzibu ye kirasi ya afternoon ng'omaze okulya lunch. Eyo kirasi nzibu. Ate twasomeranga waawo English.
Mathematics.
Omusomesa n'ayogera ng'oli eyo kirasi si nnyangu. Oba owulira naye oba totegeera. Kati naawe ompulira. Otege?
This one has a
What's the question?
Okay, I understand about the weight, about the fermentation, how we finally get the seed. So it's like I forget by first process by while we dry it by the sun. How do we get the seed after it gets dried?
The natural process.
Yeah.
After being dried, when the beans are dried, they're taken to a machine.
Oh, yeah.
The machine is the one which removes the skins. Sorry, I'm not okay today, but I'll be okay. Yes, please. Bajile voice.
Because I have
You have allergy, but we don't.
So go with that place.
So that's a joke.
Kijeko.
Jacob, you sat in the wrong place, position in your room.
Yeah.
Okay. We've seen the processing, okay? After the coffee is being processed, then it's taken to the buyers, the people who buy the coffee. It can be a person, it can be the government, cooperative companies, etc. So when these people buy the coffee, number one, they must buy high quality coffee. Like when the farmers, after planting, they take the coffee to the buyers. You might find like 1,000 buyers, they all bring their coffee. You understand? But those people have to make sure they take only the high quality coffee for them to sell. Number two, the proper storage of the coffee. The coffee must be properly stored. Coffee is stored in a cool, dry place. In a cool, dry place. Abali kulaiva, I don't know if mumpulira bulungi. Coffee must be stored in a cool, dry place. Like if coffee is hit by too much heat or sunlight, it will get too dry and too demoisturized. You understand? And where it is or you've kept it, there is water, then it will mold. Mold kwe kuwumba. Okujjako obuwumba tu. Bawita batya mu Luganda? Obubanga bwa white. That's what we call molding. Are we together? So coffee must be kept in a cool, dry place. Let's come back to class, thank you. Coffee must be kept in a cool, dry place. Then after that, coffee is packed very well and then transported. It's transported to countries which consume coffee. Remember, coffee doesn't grow everywhere. Yeah? I'll show you where coffee grows when we reach to the last point. I'll show you. So when it's packed and sold, it is sold to people or companies or cafes or roasteries all over the world. So when we buy this coffee, we buy the coffee when it's green like this. Yeah? Then we take it to what we call the roastery. Gendo zeko eseyo. Tuli mu summer. So mudachika ntono nnyo ekiwugu mu.
Jango ture.
Switch position. Wandi tulidde ddala wano wakati w'abano. Hey. Ojao.
If I'm a buyer, how do I get to know that the coffee I'm buying is of high quality? Like I've come to buy coffee.
How many?
Depends to the seed, the weight of the seed.
How many? Kati omuntu akujja kubuuza ffene otegeera nti ffene mulungi.
Walina okubeerawo ezo basics eziraga nti kati nze nzize ndi mupya njagala kugula.
Omupya tagula. Okay. Anyway, we proceed. When we buy the coffee, yeah? See, when a roaster is going to buy this coffee, it must get samples first. You understand? They give you a sample, you roast it. When it's good, then you buy. You cannot just buy coffee in bulk before knowing the taste of the coffee. So if I have a supplier in Uganda who wants to sell coffee in UAE, you must send me samples first. We take them, we roast them, we taste them. When the coffee is good, then we can bring in batches. You understand? Okay. As I said, this coffee when it's bought is taken to the roastery. Roastery is the place where they roast coffee. Tulifena, jiva roasting coffee by the water. Thank you. Omuntu, the person who's roasting the coffee is called a roaster. And the process is called roastery. The process is called roasting. The place is roasted. The person is a roaster. The process is roasting. Okay, so what is the most or the key role of a roaster? Is to roast these coffee beans and make sure the flavors in the coffee beans must shine. You understand? A roaster must roast the coffee beans and make sure the flavors in this coffee must shine or must come out. Are we together? It's like cooking food. If I give you food, you don't cook it well, the taste will not be good. It means the role of someone cooking is to make sure you cook food and the taste comes out well. Are we together? Yes. So, I talked about flavor. This is very important. Where does coffee get flavor? Where does coffee get flavor? Where does coffee get flavor? People watching live, please give me an answer. Where does coffee get flavor? Yeah? From the garden or from the plantation where the coffee was planted. Oh, yeah. Coffee gets flavors from the plantation where the coffee was planted. These are what we call back questions. Omani will be a barista. If you're a barista and you are to at duty, people will always come tease you with these questions. Most especially customers. Most especially locals. They will just find you there and ask you, but barista, where does coffee get this flavor? Sometimes they know, but they just want to know if you know. These are what we call simple bar questions. To test if you know what you're doing. There is a time I was still at work. There's a certain local guy came and asked me, what is the name of your machine? I've been working on this machine for 1 year. I told him the machine is called Victoria and Dream because this is the word